Today, we're digging into a real-life David versus Goliath story. But this fight isn't happening on some ancient battlefield. Nope, it's happening in the global food chain, in your kitchen, in your coffee cup. It's a story about a small challenger taking on the giants of world agriculture.
So think about it. How does that coffee or bread actually get to you? You probably picture farmers, maybe some local brands. But the truth is, a huge part of that journey is quietly controlled by just a handful of massive companies you've probably never, ever heard of.
Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on these giants. In the ag business world, they're known by a simple nickname, the ABCDs. And make no mistake, these are the Goliaths of our story.
So, you've got ADM, Bunge, Cargill, and Louis Dreyfus. 3 are based in the US, 1's in France. And you're not going to see their logos in the supermarket, right? Instead, think of them as the architects of the global food highway. They trade, process, and ship just mind-boggling amounts of the world's commodities. So how do they have so much power? Well, it's simple. They own the all-important infrastructure. We're talking about the ports, the giant warehouses, the shipping routes, even the financing. It's like they're the invisible toll booths for the entire global food system. Almost nothing moves from a farm to a factory without passing through their hands.
It sounds pretty impossible, right? I mean, how could anyone even begin to challenge a system that's so locked down? Well, that's what makes this story so interesting. We're going to zoom out of this huge global map and focus on one specific corner of Southeast Asia.
Let's meet our David, the VietDak Group. They're based in Dak Lak, which is basically the coffee capital of Vietnam. And they are trying to do something pretty radical. Build a global agricultural player from the ground up, right where the crops are actually grown.
And this is the key to their whole strategy, their model. See, unlike the ABCD traders, who are these global middlemen, VietDak is an origin-based group. It's all about the home field advantage. They control the product right from the farm, through all the processing, and all the way to export. And that's a huge deal. It means more of the money stays in the local economy, and it gives them way more control over the quality of the food that ends up on your plate.
Now, VietDak isn't trying to fight this war on all fronts at once. That'd be crazy. Instead, their challenge is focused on 3 key battlegrounds, and each one has its own set of rules and its own giants to face. So let's break them down.
First up, coffee. And this is the big one. This is by far the most intense battleground. You have to remember, Vietnam is the #1 producer of Robusta coffee in the world. So, yeah, the competition here is absolutely fierce, with both local champions and global behemoths in the mix. In this arena, you've got players like Trung Nguyen, who are kind of like the Starbucks of Vietnam. They sell a brand, a whole coffee culture. Then you've got the industrial giants like Vina Cafe and, of course, Nestlé, who completely dominate the instant coffee market. VietDak is trying to find its own lane, focusing on building out this integrated high-tech system that connects the farm directly with the global market.
All right, on to battleground number 2, rice. Rice is a massive export market for Vietnam, obviously. But here, the main competitors are a different beast entirely. They're powerful, state-owned enterprises.
And in the rice market, let's be real, VietDak just can't compete on sheer scale with state-owned giants like Vinafood 1 and 2. It's not even close. Those guys move millions of tons. So VietDak's strategy has to be way smarter. They can't win on volume, so they have to try to win on value. That means focusing on niche markets like specialty, organic, or other premium kinds of rice for export.
The third and final battleground is tea. And this market is interesting because, unlike the consolidated worlds of coffee and rice, this one presents a completely different kind of challenge and a really unique opportunity.
So the global tea market is super fragmented. It's all chopped up. There just aren't that many huge, dominant global brands that everyone knows. And that's a huge opening. For a company like VietDak, it's a golden opportunity to get in there and maybe, just maybe, build a powerful, recognizable brand from scratch.
Okay, so we've seen the battlegrounds. Now let's put VietDak itself under the microscope. What are the core strengths that actually make them a contender? And on the flip side, what are the critical weaknesses that could stop them dead in their tracks?
Really, it's a classic trade-off. On one hand, their prime location in Dak Land is a massive advantage. It gives them direct access to raw materials and lets them be way more agile than the big lumbering state-owned giants. But on the other hand, they have almost zero international brand recognition, they have a much smaller bank account, and they totally lack the global distribution network that the ABCDs have spent like a century building.
So, given those pros and cons, what does the playbook for victory even look like? Well, it seems like there are 3 different strategic paths VietDak could take to try and grow from a regional player into a real global force.
Let's break those down. First, they could become a specialty agriculture champion. That means focusing only on high-value, premium products that get better prices. Second, they could build a complete agribusiness ecosystem, controlling everything from the farm to export, including processing, branding, maybe even agricultural tourism. Or third, the most ambitious goal of all, aim to become the iconic global brand for Vietnamese agriculture.
And look, a journey like this doesn't happen overnight. It's a step-by-step evolution. Right now, they're mostly an origin supplier, shipping raw materials. The next big step is to become a processing exporter, adding more value right there at home, like roasting their own coffee and packaging their own tea. The ultimate goal, the top of the mountain, is to become a true global brand that people around the world actually know and ask for by name.
And that brings us to the final big question here. This story about VietDak is about more than just one company. It really makes you wonder about the future of our entire food system. In a world that's been dominated for so long by these giant middlemen, could the real power finally be shifting back to the source? Now that's something worth thinking about.